Look, everybody got a dream, but not everybody got the stomach to chase it when the world laughs at him. Everybody want to shine, but they forget that the grind look crazy before it looks legendary. When you start something new, something big, something that don't look normal, you gonna feel eyes on you, you gonna hear jokes, you gonna feel doubt in the room. But let me tell you something real. The same people who laugh at your beginning will clap for your becoming. That's the marathon. That's elevation. That's the journey they don't show on the highlight reel. Because the truth is, vision always looks funny to the blind. Now let's break this down into 5 truths, 5 keys that will keep you grounded when people don't believe in you yet. They laugh because they can't see what you see, and that's the part nobody prepares you for when you step into your purpose. When you get that first spark of an idea, when your spirit starts whispering to you that you're meant for more, when your mind starts imagining a life bigger than the one you're living, that's when the ladder starts. Not because you're wrong, not because you're delusional, but because your vision is operating on a frequency they ain't tuned into yet. People laugh at what they don't understand. They fear what they can't measure. They mock what they can't control. And when you're the first one in your circle or your family to see something different, to want something bigger, it's almost guaranteed that people will react with confusion before respect. Think about Nipsey dropping Crenshaw as a 100 mixtape. The whole world laughed, the headlines clowned him, the comments dragged him. Who does he think he is? Oh, a mixtape! For $100, they said he was crazy. They said he was reaching. They said he was out of his mind trying to put a price tag on what they thought was ordinary. But that's exactly the point. They thought it was ordinary because they couldn't see the vision behind it. They couldn't see the strategy. They couldn't see the intention. They only saw the surface. And people judge from the surface because it's the only level they can process from. And then what happened? It sold out. Jay-Z bought 100 copies. People lined up just to be part of something they once laughed at. The same mouths that doubted him turned into echoes of applause. The same people who were confused turned into people who copied the blueprint. The move that looked ridiculous yesterday became the move they praised today. That shows you something deep. People don't really hate your ideas. They just don't understand them until the world validates them. They don't clap until someone bigger claps first. They don't respect what you're building until they see proof they can't deny. That's your life too. Your ideas will feel too big for people who settled. Your dreams will feel too loud for people who muted theirs. Your ambition will look crazy to people who gave up too early. Some people stop dreaming at 17. Some people stop trying after the first failure. Some people let one heartbreak, one setback, one moment define their whole life. So when they see you refusing to quit, refusing to settle, refusing to shrink, your existence becomes a mirror showing them everything they walked away from. That's why they laugh. It's not comedy, it's discomfort. Sometimes it's your own family. Sometimes it's your closest friends. Sometimes it's the people you thought would cheer for you the most. You'll share your plans and they'll give you that half smile, that doubting look, that "we'll see" energy. They'll call you unrealistic, not because you are, but because their reality is limited. They're speaking from where they stop, not from where you're headed. You have to be careful not to let their small vision poison your big one. See, vision is lonely. Vision is uncomfortable. Vision makes you look foolish before it makes you look fearless. Every great idea looks strange at stage 1. Every masterpiece looks messy in the middle. Every dream looks impossible until the day it doesn't. But that's the part that separates you from them. You're willing to move while it still looks blurry. You're willing to try while there's still doubt. You're willing to believe before the applause. Don't shrink your vision to fit their eyesight. Don't dim your dreams just because the room you're in can't handle the brightness. Don't slow your steps because the people around you can't keep up. You're not obligated to make sense to anyone who chose comfort over growth. You're not responsible for convincing them. You're responsible for becoming what God put in your heart. And you got to keep your foot on the gas, even when they laugh, even when they whisper, even when they doubt you, because the truth is the laughter is temporary, the noise is temporary, the judgment is temporary, but your purpose, your elevation, your becoming, that's forever if you stay locked in. Think about all the icons, innovators, and visionaries we celebrate today. Every one of them was laughed at first. Every single one. People laughed at the first electric car. They laughed at social media. They laughed at entrepreneurs who dropped out of school. They laughed at dreamers who chose the harder path. And yet here we are living in a world shaped by those same crazy ideas. So when they laugh at you, don't take it personal. Take it as confirmation. Take it as a sign you're thinking bigger than the room you're in. Take it as proof you're walking a path they're too scared to try. Because one day when you hit your stride, when the blessings start showing, when the results start stacking, those same people will clap. Not because they changed, but because success makes everything clear. It makes everything make sense. You just stay focused, stay passionate, stay patient, stay on that marathon mindset, because the real ones, the ones with vision, the ones with courage, the ones with heart, they understand that being laughed at is just the first chapter of the story. The applause comes later. The respect comes later. The recognition comes later. But none of that happens if you quit early. So keep going. Keep building, keep dreaming past their limitations, because one day you're going to look back at the people who doubted you, the rooms that misunderstood you, the moments that embarrassed you, and you'll realize they were all necessary. They shaped you, they sharpened you, they pushed you. And when the world finally claps, you'll understand something deep. They never saw it, but you did. And that made all the difference. Greatness always looks awkward in the beginning, and that's the part nobody ever posts, nobody ever claps for, nobody ever celebrates. When you step into something new, when you decide you want more, when you decide you're done living small, you don't show up looking polished or perfect. You show up looking confused, inconsistent, unsure of yourself, trying to figure out if you really belong in the rooms you're walking into. That's how greatness introduces itself, not with fireworks, not with applause, but with doubt, struggle, sacrifice, and a whole lot of uncomfortable moments that test whether you're serious or just talking. Think about it. Look at any champion, any icon you admire, and you'll see the same pattern. Michael Jordan didn't make varsity. They told him he wasn't good enough, he wasn't ready, he wasn't the one. And imagine being that kid, hearing that, feeling that embarrassment, going home and questioning himself. But greatness doesn't look like greatness when it starts. It looks like a kid who got cut. It looks like tears on the pillow. It looks like early mornings and late nights when nobody sees you. That awkward moment became the fuel that shaped a legend. Oprah was told she wasn't made for TV. They told her she didn't fit the standard. They didn't see the future global icon, the billionaire, the cultural force. They saw someone who didn't match what they were comfortable with. And that's what greatness looks like at level 1. Someone who doesn't fit the mold. Someone who doesn't look like the typical choice. Someone who stands out so much that it makes people uncomfortable. But Oprah kept going, kept sharpening, kept walking into rooms that weren't built for her until she changed the blueprint entirely. Jack Ma got rejected from 30 jobs, including KFC. Imagine that. You show up looking for a chance, looking for any opportunity, and even the place hiring almost everybody else turns you down. Most people would have quit. Most people would have said, I guess this isn't for me. But greatness doesn't grow in comfort. Greatness grows in rejection. It grows in those awkward seasons where you feel out of place, unqualified, unsure of your next move, like life is laughing at you. That's the soil where resilience grows, and Jack Ma took all those rejections and flipped them into building Alibaba, one of the biggest companies in the world. Every one of these people was laughed at first. Every one of them was doubted. Every one of them was underestimated. That's the pattern. That's the cycle. That's the truth they don't teach you in school. Greatness doesn't start with validation. It starts with you standing alone, looking like you have no idea what you're doing. It starts with people whispering behind your back. It starts with people questioning your moves. And that's okay, because if you fit in too easily at the beginning, you're probably not going somewhere extraordinary. You gotta understand that being doubted is part of the initiation. It's like the universe saying, show me how bad you want it. You can't skip that phase. You can't skip the moments where you feel like an imposter. You can't skip the days where you're learning new skills and fumbling through it. You can't skip the trial period where nothing is smooth and everything feels heavier than you expected. Those moments build you. They give you backbone. They shape your conviction. They teach you to rely on yourself when the world doesn't clap. Being laughed at is part of the sharpening. Those jokes, those comments, those smirks from people who don't believe in you. That's resistance training for your spirit. Every time someone underestimates you, your hunger levels up. Every time someone doubts you, your drive finds a new gear. You can't becomes a mental rep that builds your character. You don't get sharper without friction. You don't become a blade without pressure. You don't become unstoppable without being stopped a few times. Being underestimated is part of the training. People thinking you're not capable, people assuming you're not ready, people overlooking you. That's where humility and hunger get built. Legends aren't formed in environments that praise them. They're formed in environments that ignore them. That's how every real one gets shaped. You learn to operate without applause. You learn to move without permission. You learn to trust your own steps even when nobody else does. So if you feel awkward right now, good. If you feel out of place, good. If you feel like you're not qualified enough or experienced enough or polished enough, good. That's how every legend feels at level 1. That's how every winner looks before the world calls them a winner. That awkward phase is the proof that you're growing, that you're stepping into something bigger than you've known. It's the part where you plant the seeds before anybody even knows you're sowing. That feeling you have, that discomfort, that's your greatness stretching. That's your potential waking up. That's your spirit adjusting to a new altitude. You're not supposed to feel confident on day one. You're not supposed to have it all figured out. You're supposed to feel shaky, unsure, and slightly overwhelmed. That's the sign that you're on the right track. The people who quit, they quit in this stage. They quit before it makes sense. They quit because they thought greatness was supposed to look glamorous from the jump. But the real ones, the Nipsey Hussle types, the marathon runners, they understand that greatness doesn't show up looking like greatness. It shows up looking like work, like dedication, like failure after failure after failure until the breakthrough hits. And when it hits, all that awkwardness, all that doubt, all that struggle becomes part of your legend. People will look at you and say, they were built for this. But they won't know how many nights you didn't feel built for anything. They won't know how many times you questioned everything. They won't know how many times you sat with your own doubts trying to decide whether to keep going or fold. They'll only see the finished version. So don't run from the awkward phase. Don't hide from it. Walk through it. Own it. Grow in it. Because greatness might look awkward now, but later that same awkward beginning becomes the story that inspires somebody else to start theirs. What they mock is really what they fear. And once you understand that, the whole game changes. Some people ain't laughing because you're funny. They laughing because something about your movement, something about your growth, something about your energy makes them uncomfortable. They see you stepping into a version of yourself they never had the courage to pursue. And instead of saying, damn, that inspires me, they try to hide the sting by turning your ambition into a joke. That's how insecurity talks. That's how fear dresses itself up so it doesn't look weak. Your potential threatens people who refuse to evolve. That's the truth nobody tells you. When you start leveling up, people who stayed the same get nervous. When you start breaking out of patterns they're still stuck in, they feel exposed. Your growth forces them to face the fact that they settled, and most people would rather laugh at you than admit they gave up on themselves. You becoming better reminds them they stopped trying. You pushing yourself highlights how little they've pushed. You chasing purpose shines a light on the places they stayed comfortable. And instead of rising with you, they try to bring you down to avoid the pressure of rising themselves. Your hustle exposes people who ain't trying. Every time you show up early, stay late, work on your craft, improve your mindset, and refuse to quit, you remind them of what they're not doing. That's where the jokes really come from. People don't clown you to be funny. They clown you to ease the discomfort of watching someone who refuses to waste their life the way they wasted theirs. They'll say you're doing too much, you're thinking too big, you're moving too fast, you're chasing something unrealistic. But the truth is, they're scared of what it would mean if you actually win. Because if you win, they have to face the fact that they had the same 24 hours, the same time, the same shot, and they chose comfort while you chose growth. Your discipline reminds them of their excuses. They see you skipping parties, turning off distractions, putting in hours when nobody is watching, and they start asking themselves why they don't have that same fire. But instead of answering that question honestly, they hide behind jokes. They laugh at your habits, your consistency, your goals. Because deep down, your discipline reveals how inconsistent they've been with their own dreams. Discipline is a mirror, and not everybody is ready to look into it. Your focus becomes a threat to the narrative they built to justify staying stuck. So they laugh, they downplay you, they talk behind your back. Not because they don't see your greatness, but because they do. They laugh to protect their ego. They joke to hide their insecurity. They doubt you to justify why they stopped dreaming. That's why you can't take their words personally. Their reaction has nothing to do with your value and everything to do with their fear. Fear of change, fear of growth, fear of watching someone they know do what they were too scared to attempt. You're not the problem. You're the trigger. Ever notice how the people who clown your ideas never built nothing themselves? How the loudest critics always got the smallest accomplishments? How the ones who laugh the most be the same ones who never took a risk, never tried, never sacrificed for anything bigger than themselves? They experts in criticism, but beginners in execution. They know how to talk, how to doubt, how to judge, but not how to build. That's why they target the ones who are building. It's easier to point at your blueprint than admit they don't have one. You'll never see someone doing better than you trying to tear you down. The ones ahead of you don't laugh at your dreams. They encourage them. The ones growing don't mock your growth. They respect it. Only the stagnant, the stuck, the scared use jokes as a shield. Only the people who quit feel threatened by someone who won't. Only the people with no vision feel disturbed by someone who sees beyond their circumstances. So don't let their fear become your ceiling. Don't let their doubt become your limit. Don't let their insecurity shrink your ambition. You can't let people who stop climbing decide how high you should go. You can't let their fear bleed into your future. You can't let their comfort zone trap you inside a life that wasn't meant for you. Their fear is not your responsibility. Their insecurity is not your weight to carry. Let their energy fuel you. Let their doubts sharpen you. Let their jokes remind you that you're doing something they can't ignore. Let their discomfort push you deeper into your purpose, because the day you stop threatening people is the day you stop growing. If your progress makes a few folks nervous, good. That means you're breaking limits. That means you're rising. That means you're stepping into the version of yourself they never expected you to become. Keep moving, keep building, keep disrupting the narratives people try to put on your life. Because one day, the same people who mocked you will wish they moved like you. They'll wish they believed like you. They'll wish they stayed disciplined like you. They'll wish they didn't let fear make decisions for them. And you'll look back and realize their laughter was never a sign you were doing something wrong. It was the first sign you were doing something right. Keep your head down. Results talk louder than opinions. And that's one of the realest lessons you'll ever learn on this marathon. People can argue opinions all day long. They can debate what you're doing, question how you're doing it, and try to break down why they think your dreams won't work. Opinions are cheap. People hand them out for free because they cost nothing. But results make everybody shut up. Results make the loudest critic turn quiet. Results turn doubters into witnesses. And that's why you don't need to respond to every voice that tries to distract you. You don't got to respond to doubters. You don't owe anybody an explanation for why you're chasing what you're chasing. You don't have to break down your strategy to people who wouldn't understand it anyway. Most people don't think beyond what they can see. They don't operate on vision, they operate on comfort. So when they don't understand your plan, it ain't your job to teach them. Let them stay confused. Let them think you're losing. Let them assume you're moving wrong. Their misunderstanding is not your emergency. You don't got to defend your dream. Your dream was given to you, not them. That means it wasn't meant to make sense to everybody else. Sometimes the people closest to you will be the ones who doubt you the most because they only know your history, not your potential. They've seen your mistakes, not your future. They know where you've been, not where you're being pulled. And when people don't understand your destination, they start questioning your direction. But you don't owe them a map. You don't owe them a presentation. You don't owe them reassurance. Just keep building. You don't got to clap back at every joke. Let them laugh. Let them clown you. Let them think you're doing too much. Because jokes are temporary, but the consequences of your work, good or bad, are permanent. People talk when you're unknown, quiet when you're focused, and loud again when you make it. That's the pattern. So don't waste your breath trying to prove something to people who aren't even listening. Don't waste your energy firing back at people who don't matter. Every minute spent responding is a minute not spent grinding, and you'll never get that time back. Just keep working. Keep your head down. Lock into your routine, your growth, your mission. There's a certain kind of power in being too busy improving to care what anybody thinks. When you move like that, your silence becomes intimidating. People don't know what you're plotting. They don't know what level you're training for. They don't know what seeds you're planting. And that uncertainty starts making them quiet. When they can't predict your moves, they can't interrupt them. When you're consistent long enough, those same people who tried to embarrass you will start using you as an example. The switch up is crazy. The ones who talk down on you will tell everybody they always knew you had potential. They'll say things like, I knew them when they were just getting started. Like they weren't clowning you 5 years ago. They always had it in them. They'll say, as if they didn't question every decision you made, I always believed. They'll tell people rewriting history to protect their ego because your results expose their doubt. It's wild how success changes people's memory. They forget how they laughed. They forget how they doubted. They forget how they downplayed your ideas. But you remember. And that's why you stay humble, not bitter. Because once you see that shift happen once, you understand human nature a little deeper. People don't respect you when you need support. They respect you when you no longer need permission. So stay quiet, stay focused, stay disciplined. That discipline is going to separate you from everybody who quit early. That consistency is going to put you in rooms opinions could never get you into. That focus is going to help you build something solid in a world full of distractions. When you stay locked in long enough, the results start stacking, slowly at first, quietly, then all at once. And when that moment comes, the silence you kept becomes your advantage. Make success your comeback, not a tweet, not a rant, not a watch me post. Let your life talk for you. Let your elevation answer every doubt they ever had. Make results your revenge, not the petty kind, not the bitter kind, but the kind where you rise so high, people can't even reach you to apologize. The kind where you look back and realize your energy was never meant to be spent on arguments. It was meant to be spent on becoming. Because nothing shuts a hater up like proof. Proof is undefeated. Proof silences every rumor, every joke, every doubt. Proof makes people regret they ever underestimated you. Proof turns your name from a punchline into a blueprint. Proof forces people to face the truth they tried to avoid. You weren't crazy. You were committed. You weren't delusional. You were disciplined. You weren't doing too much. You were doing exactly what greatness requires. So keep your head down, keep building, keep trusting, keep growing. And when the time is right, let the proof speak. It'll say everything you never had to. When you start winning, you're going to notice a shift that don't even need explanation. It just happens, quiet, subtle, almost like the universe flipping a page in your life story without announcing it. The same people who once cracked jokes at your grind will start acting like they've been cheering since day one. The ones who rolled their eyes when you talked about your goals will start reposting you like they always believed. The ones who couldn't see your vision when it was just a seed will swear they knew it was a tree waiting to grow. That's the reality of leveling up. People switch up when the world gives them permission to clap. See, in the beginning your dream is too raw for some people, too early, too unpolished. And because they can't imagine themselves doing what you're doing, they can't imagine you doing it either. That's why they laugh. That's why they doubt. That's why they stay quiet when you share your plans. It ain't you. They scared of what your growth reminds them about themselves. But the moment the world starts nodding its head for you, the moment your name starts moving rooms without you even being there, suddenly you become inspiration. Suddenly you become family. Suddenly you become the person they always knew would make it. People move like that. They don't support risk. They support results. And you got to be okay with that. That's part of the marathon. You can't drag bitterness with you when you're running a long race. You can't let old emotions become new obstacles. Some people will only clap when the world cosigns you, and that's fine. Let them. Don't waste energy trying to fix how they saw you when you were still building. Let time fix that. Time has a way of revealing what was real and what was convenience. Time shows you who was clapping because they believed in the foundation and who's clapping only because the building is finished. What's wild is this: the people who counted you out will become your loudest cheerleaders, not because they suddenly gained faith, but because they finally gained clarity. They finally see what you always saw. They finally understand the weight of the dream you were carrying. Some people need the world to validate you before they can respect you. And as cold as that sounds, it's human nature. People trust what's already been proven. They celebrate what's publicly accepted. They support what they no longer feel insecure next to. But you can't carry grudges on this journey. You can't let old hurt stain new blessings. Your success is already heavy. Don't add bitterness to the load. You got to keep your heart clean. Not for them, never for them, but for you. Because winning don't feel the same when your spirit is cluttered. And real success ain't just about money, stages, or recognition. It's about peace. It's about being able to look back on everything you overcame and smile without resentment. It's about knowing you didn't let the world turn you cold just because it tried to play you early. Let them clap. Let them switch up. Let them cheer for the same dream they once mocked, because truth is, their applause on the other side hits different. Not because you need it, but because you survived without it. There's a certain kind of power in knowing you kept going even when nobody understood your route. There's a certain type of strength in sticking to your vision even when people tried to shrink it. And when you step onto those stages they said you'd never reach, there's a certain type of pride in seeing familiar faces in the crowd. Not because they helped you get there, but because you outgrew every limitation they put on your name. Picture this moment here. You're standing in the light of the life you built. You're walking across opportunities that once felt impossible. You're living in a reality that used to be a dream you barely had the courage to speak out loud. And as you look out, you see the faces of people who doubted you, people who talked behind your back, people who dismissed your vision like it was never going to amount to anything. And instead of feeling anger, you feel gratitude. Not because they believed, but because their disbelief sharpened you. Their doubt fueled the discipline. Their judgment strengthened your character. Their silence pushed you into a version of yourself that didn't need approval to move. That's when you realize the switch up doesn't matter. The applause doesn't matter. The support that came late doesn't matter. What matters is that you stayed loyal to the marathon. What matters is that you didn't stop running just because the crowd wasn't cheering early. What matters is that you never traded your purpose for validation. And when your success finally makes noise, it hits in a way that leaves no room for hate because the proof is right there, unarguable, undeniable, untouched by opinions. So when people start clapping after the world recognizes you, let them repost you, let them act like they knew, let them rewrite their memory to fit the current version of your life. Because the truth is, none of that takes away from the nights you worked in silence, the days you hustled alone, the moments you had to hype yourself up because nobody else did. That's what built you. That's what prepared you. That's what earned you everything you're standing in today. Let them clap. You don't need the validation, but you earn the recognition. You earn the respect. You earn the room you walk into now. And the beautiful part of it all, you did it without becoming what they expected you to be. You did it with integrity, with heart, with consistency, with discipline. Let them clap. You earned it. Remember this, every joke they make now becomes a round of applause later. If you don't fold, if you don't shrink, the marathon is about endurance. The victory is about patience. The transformation is about belief. You ain't chasing validation, you're building legacy. And one day when you're standing in your purpose, when the vision becomes visible, when the work becomes undeniable, they'll clap, but you'll smile because you always knew.